The Pulse Network. It's social TV.
Now, this is the continued debt crisis. We have had updates on this for the past few weeks here on TPN Following, and many analysts really thought that this weekend was going to be the weekend. They said we come back on Monday. I was going to be able to say that we had an end to this debt crisis, but unfortunately, that's not where we find ourselves. The debt ceiling crisis continues. Over on the Washington Post, they break down who said what, and it seems as if both sides are planning these secretive meetings now in which they're coming up with their own plans, trying to pit them against one another. The Democrats came out are accused of doing a bait and switch, calling for things from the Republicans. The Republicans are now being accused of not going along with the plan to save our country's economic relief. It is just a big ol' mess, to say the least. Timothy Geithner has come out saying that this is not going to happen. He says that no matter what we hear, what happens, a default is unthinkable. It's unthinkable and would not meet our obligations on time. This is over on Scene and Money. And it says that pretty much even if we do come to some conclusion on the debt, even if we do raise the debt ceiling, if we do come to a bipartisan agreement, change has already begun for the worst. World markets are declining on this debt debate. They say that everyone began to fall. Japan and Hong Kong fell nearly 1%, and the Shanghai Composite Index tumbled 3%. This is by far the biggest story internationally right now, is the shooting that happened in Norway over the weekend. So exactly what went down? Let's start off with The Who. Now, The Who is Anders Breivik. He is 32 years old, and he was a Norway citizen. Now, many people are reported, as they often do in these crimes, that they didn't necessarily see it coming. Looking back, they were able to see some of the secrets of his life, but many people that knew him said that they did not expect this type of tragedy to come from his hands. Now, he was quoted by lawyers as saying that his acts were gruesome but necessary, and he has taken sole responsibility for this tragic act. Now, police initially did arrest 6 other suspects, but they were released over the weekend, and right now only Anders Breivik is being held responsible for this horrible act. Well, first, the actual event that caused so much outrage was the tragedy that happened over the weekend, initially with that bombing of the Oslo Capitol building in which 7 people were killed. Then with the shooting of the small island for labor students. Now, these were all students on this island, and the reports of the exact number are still a little bit sketchy, but many outlets reporting now that the total death toll is up to 93 people. Now, this wrapped just minutes before we came on to air. The reports are still coming out from the trial, but we do know that he was not granted the ability to speak to the public. This was something that Anders Breivik did want, part of his request, but the judge ruled he did not want to give him a platform to voice his right-wing views. Now, Breivik was in fact charged as the sole perpetrator of this crime, as we mentioned at the beginning, and the hearing itself lasted only 35 minutes. Now, crowds were surrounding the courthouse, yelling obscenities in his direction. There were reports of young adults storming his van, of storming police cars they thought carried Breivik, shouting obscenities at his lawyer, saying things that we cannot repeat on air. 823. That is the number of couples who were married in New York this weekend. Now, you remember us talking a few weeks ago about New York State becoming the largest state to legalize gay marriage, and well, it officially went into law this weekend. 823 couples were married. And you, my friends, are going to have the NFL season. That's right, there were tweets flying, there were blog posts being written, everyone was in a frenzy over this news, but it was announced officially that the lockout is over. Although Sports Illustrated does remind us, just as the New York Times article did, that the off-season normally lasts around 6 months, but there's normally much more of a preseason for the NFL season. So without that preseason, it's going to look like a different NFL season than we're used to. But hey, Sports Illustrated says, come on, it's still the NFL season, so something to be positive about.
The Pulse Network. It's social TV.